Hi, I'm Peter from Coffee Parts, and today I'm here with Ashleigh looking at the Malhkonig E65 Grind by weight. So today we're looking at the Malhkonig E65 Grind by weight. We actually did a video on this a year ago, but we're revisiting it because there has been some changes. But first things first, Ashleigh, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And for those that don't know who you are, you want to give a 30-second bio about your journey in coffee?
Sure. I've worked in plenty of cafes, a couple of roasteries, and now I'm a technician. I work in Brewtech, doing the Malhkonigs obviously solely, and also Lamzocco.
So you've seen this machine before?
Once or twice.
And the beautiful thing about having you here is you actually understand the insides, for everyone to be able to see just how easy these machines are to pull apart, change the blades, which we'll do it in a sec. But having you here really does help explore this machine a little bit further. But what's been the changes on this machine from the original grind by weight that came out circa a year ago to now? I understand that there's been menu changes and there's a lot more connectivity, but do you want to just explain those changes a little bit more?
Absolutely. So when we talk about this grinder, it is a specialty coffee grinder. When you want precision and giving the coffee and the control back to the consumer. Now that we've sorted through all the teething issues, there are some software updates. The connectivity goes to your phone or to your laptop, so you don't have to mess with the grinder during service. You can just do it, as you're going through things, looking through the alerts or however much coffee you've done that day.
And there's the same connectivity between this and if you do have the big brother, the E80, and the E80 is actually coming out as a grind by weight. So if you did have both, it's the same connectivity, you can have it in the same app, is that right?
Absolutely. Oh, it's just all on a URL and it's pretty easy to connect up to, but it's all the same software. So you can go ahead and do that yourself, or you can ask your friendly local technician to do that for you as well. There are a few little perks, but it is definitely improved when we talk about things that overheat or accessibility, getting into the owner's menu and things like that.
And with the portafilter recognition, that's been updated now, and in the past, people used to put little weights on the portafilters to make them all the same, whether it was a rubber band or a bit of blue tack under the thread. Now you can register multiple portafilters and it's become really accurate. So all those little games are gone, right?
Absolutely. I mean, as much as rubber bands look awesome at the end of portafilters, now even if you have the precision portafilter handles, we do recommend that you do them individually because it can be 0.1 of a gram, and that will obviously sacrifice some time, and we want it to be as quick as possible. Which is the whole reason we got this grinder. Or we have this grinder because we want all the precision and the speed. So yeah, we can go through that at any time.
Yeah, and while we're just talking about portafilters, it is a simple thing, but you can adjust the height of the portafilter support and the spout to really conform to pretty much any portafilter. So, I mean, it's not really a revolution. Most machines do that, but it is nice that it's, in this case, quite easy to do, just 2 screws and the spout that just has a thread that goes up and down.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thread on the side is just a small flathead, which everyone generally keeps for shower screens, etc. So it is super accessible. It is important that we do it at the correct height, so we're not putting pressure on the fork or pressure on the load cell, but it is super easy for anyone else to do. And as well as, like you said, the spout's very accessible and you can pull it out and give it a good clean.
I like that it just pulls out like that.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a nice accurate click, and you can adjust it, obviously, like you said before. The E80 and the E65 standard is the same, and you can pull it up or down. And if you happen to pop it out, you can always just pop it back in. It's not terrifying. And then we can adjust, therefore, where the coffee comes out. So if you have a bigger or a smaller portafilter, you can control where the coffee is coming out. Or a bigger dose, for example, you don't want it coming all the way at the back, you want it more in the center. Or some people like it at the front, depending on your dose.
And when it comes to calibrating the load cell, so the load cell sits under here, which is really easy to have a quick look. The load cell is just there. When it comes to calibrating the load cell, you just use the 1 kilo weight, and it's just an easy process now.
It is super easy, and I think the 1 kilo weights are much more accessible now. The only thing that I will take apart and mention is that the load cell is only connected to the fork, and the fork is not directly connected to the body. So if you do put a lot of pressure on it, you want to keep that in mind, that all it is relying is on the load cell here. The ability to recalibrate it yourself is, I don't know anything else that you can do like that other than scales. Not many people recalibrate their own kitchen scales. But it's pretty awesome to have that right in your capability, to have it, pull it out, check what's going on with the dose, and make sure it's perfect every other week you clean it. That is the load cell cover, and that's magnetic, so I would probably keep that on there for most of the part, and then you can give that top one a really good wipe with whatever you've got handy.
Yeah, and when it comes to hoppers, that comes with a 1.2 kilo hopper. If you were to put this grinder at home, you can use these little 250 gram hoppers that makes the grinder.
Yeah, they're super cute. They're so cute.
So let's just go through and look through the settings. And we are going to grind coffee a little later, so don't stress. But let's just go through the settings and explain the menu.
Okay, so we've got a few different menus here. We've got the owner's level and we've got the barista menu. To double click, you just go on the jog dial here, and then you've got the two on the side. From here, you can scroll downwards, and you've got all of these things to access. Right at the bottom here, you've got alerts and notifications, so you can see who's been changing recipes. And then starting from the top, you can edit the recipe. It is really important that when you go down to your recipe and you adjust it from here, that you go all the way across and you don't just exit, otherwise it won't save. And you do have the option for time-based as well, if that's what you prefer. You've got up to 6 recipes here. And another cool little thing you can do is you can also change the picture. So you could also associate that with your portafilters if you had different recipes. To exit all the way out, you can press the cross, or you can just go top left to go out. In the settings, we've got portafilter management, and that's where we put all the portafilters in. Like I said before, we do recommend that you do them individually just for more precision, but it will work if you don't add it in. It just might take an extra second to weigh the portafilter. So from here, we go add portafilter, go down to add portafilter, and you can pop that one in. And you can see here with the grams how accurate it is. So it will detect if something is out by 0.1. Now that that's recognized, you can pop it in and away you go. Going back to the settings here, we've got the service, and this is where you can check what software you have. Anything from 300 forward is new, and I do recommend that you update that, but it is all preference, absolutely. It will still work perfectly and make beautiful coffee with or without a software update. But here's where we're looking at the connectability, and you can connect it through your phone via Bluetooth, and then you can have a look at all the settings there. We'll go down to statistics. Statistics is another really cool one that we can look through and see what's going on. So generally, the first few are things that have been bench tested or done by the factory. And then here we can go shots ground, kilos ground, and we can have a look at things a little bit deeper. Here you've got the recipe and you've got how much you've done with that recipe. So we can see what's more popular, maybe if you have a black or a white, and you can put it all through the same. And then all the way to the end, we've got motor runtime, and then all these other cool things. Burr health is a really important one. That's one where we look at, further down the track, when is it time to change the burrs? It is obviously only an estimate. It's not by the gram, but it's a pretty cool feature for anyone to have a look at and go, oh, maybe it's time. Yeah,
or to time it in the service of a coffee machine.
Yeah,
whatever it might be.
Definitely. There is a very cool feature that when these grinders reach 850 kilos, that a service required will come up, a little alert will come up at the bottom there, which is a new cool thing that comes from 300 onwards. And then you still got, a fair bit of time. It's not going to blow up. You still got a bit of time to gauge when the service will be. But it's a good number for you to recognise and when there needs to be another service or burr change.
And talking about burr change, you want to just open up and show how easy it is to get access into the burrs?
Yeah, absolutely. So turn it off as usual, nice and safe. With the hopper, just a little cheeky twist.
So just looking into the burrs and basically how easy it is to get in there. We've got an extra little tool that doesn't come with the machine, so the screwdriver and this tool doesn't come. You don't need the tools, but makes life a lot easier.
It definitely does, and it's a cool thing to have. With the investment, you might as well have the right tools for the job. As a rule of thumb for myself, always putting it on, there's the burr lock at the back when you get them, unlocking them at the back, and then always putting it on 0 just as a good reference for yourself not to get it out of alignment when you take things apart, just like you would an EK. So there's just a couple little screws up the top here, which you only need a flat head for. Now we don't need to take these out all the way, we only need to loosen them enough for it to open. And then we've got a lock and unlock system here. So there's a little picture, and then you can just slide it into the unlock. So untwist from the middle, and then it lifts straight out.
And while you've got it out, these burrs are the 65mm burrs from the K30, right?
Yeah, when you get them in the little box, it'll say K30 on them, same size. So when we're looking at the inside of the grinder, all you need to do when you clean it normally, you've got the flapper here, and we've got the anti-static strip. The anti-static strip always goes towards the back of the burrs. All we're doing when we remove that top burr, if you want to have a look or give it a good clean, is you're just loosening them, right? So you don't need to take them all the way out, just like the same with this. We don't want to be losing any burrs. And it's the same process with an unlock system. So we're going to turn it slightly, and here you've got your burrs.
And there you go, and then 2 more screws and the burrs out, and you change. Obviously there's a little bit of coffee in there, you can give it a clean and then put it all back together.
Yes, absolutely. And recalibrating it is just on the side, but that is the next step if you want to have a look. Getting out the burrs from the middle is also quite easy. You need to take these out, obviously, and the chute, give that a wipe. So we've taken the 2 small screws out, which look exactly the same as this. And with this tool, it's got a crazy little lip here, which is awesome, and it gets right under the burr, so it helps you lift it out. I'm not sure if you've ever removed EK burrs, but it can be a bit of a drama getting them out. So they've come up with something awesome where we just lift it straight out. It is a little bit of a wiggle, and excess coffee always will come out, and then it lifts straight out.
That's made it a lot easier. Before you have to get the screwdriver and try to
wedge it up from underneath, but now that you can see where that lip is and where it holds in.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And they also come in for the E80 as well. Same size for the E65S, so if you have a couple in the fleet, it's nice and easy. Okay, now we've placed it back in, we've given it a nice good clean with the vacuum. If you don't have a vacuum, that's okay. You can still give it a good wipe, and we put the screws back in just like we would with the top side.
Yep. So they're these 2 screws we're putting back in on the bottom burr.
Exactly the same screws, yes, which make it nice and easy if you're taking it all apart and you're not quite sure.
So now that the screws are back in, we can pop that in and talk about the alignment.
So putting these back in, it is really important that we put it back in the way it came out, otherwise the burrs won't align properly. As I mentioned before, putting it, as a rule of thumb, putting it on 0 will help you with the alignment because we know where 0 is. Now that it is on 0, we can take it off. There's a back button here that you just pull up, give it a little wiggle, and it all comes apart. And we've got the alignment here. As you can see, we've already got a little pink line, which is something that Brewtech does. Whenever we get them, we bench test these and make sure they're perfect. And originally the factory comes with a white line, and it is very close. But we just like to dial it in for Australian coffee. And now here is where we align it. So you can, there is also some videos by Malhkonig which are very descriptive if you ever forget. We've got the dots here which go smaller or larger, and then you can gauge where's touching. So I would probably go until they're touching and you can hear it. And that's probably a little bit too much because it's not nice and flush. We want it when it's like just barely scraping. You know, like an EK when you're dialing it in, you can hear it chirp, and then we want to back it off. You want to back it off so it's not chirping at 0. Now that we're putting it back on, we're going to make sure we put it at 0. So it's got these teeth here which mark it really well. And then you can just hold in the button, give it a little wiggle on the way down, and make sure that that's sitting at 0. Put it all back together. Don't forget the flapper. And the static strip sits at the back. Just making sure that that's nice and flush and not sticking out so it's not a problem for you in the future. Put it back together, it's easy peasy.
Couple of screws, put the spout back on.
You don't even take them out, If you haven't screwed everything back down where it's supposed to go, you will notice pretty soon. Either it won't go down properly or the alignment will be out a little bit. So as long as you do it slow the first couple of times, it should be fine. And then we can go from the middle from there.
And throw the spout back on. And we're ready to roll.
Perfect.
So recalibrating the load cell, super easy. You got 1 kilo weight and I'll let you do the honors.
Sure. So getting into the owner's menu. So normally the barista menu sits here, but from software 300 onwards, you'll need to turn it off, hold these 2 buttons on the left down and turn it back on. Any software previous to this, you do need to enter a password which comes in the manual, so it's pretty easy to find. We double tap and we go to service. Here we've got a few other cool things, which is error log, which is my favorite, when you can see if somebody's put way too much pressure on the load cell. So load cell calibrate. So when it talks about jog dial, this is your jog dial. So calibrate. Please remove portafilter and press the jog dial. So it's emptying it at 0. Now we're going to put the weight on. And calibrate it. So how we test it, the best way to know that you've done it properly is we go back to settings and we go into portafilter management. So if you've been leaning on it or something else and you've accidentally done it wrong, you just can easily check if your dose is out, where we go add portafilter and we just check if it's at perfectly at 1000, which it is. So we've done that, right? And you're good to go. And then you can just delete that portafilter later.
So should we grind out some coffee?
Absolutely.
And let's also check that it is 18 grams. Screen saying it's perfectly 18. And the Akai is saying the same thing, so happy days.
There you have it.
Ashleigh, thank you for coming in and looking at the E65 grind by weight with me.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And if you have a grind by weight, let me know in the comments below, or if you want one, or maybe you just have a question for me and Ash on this. Let me know. And like always, if this video has brought you value, hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Thank you and see you on the next video.